Day 2 of the trial, let's go. We don't have any white stuff. White stuff doesn't exist down here. Except at the border of Florida, apparently. It's February 23rd, 9:23 in the morning in the Old Bailey Defendants Lobby. What? Oh, I wasn't ready for that! That was too close. He is indeed a cat! It's finally time. One second, I need to close the door. Sorry, the door just decided to open itself. Yes, today's the day. With this trial, I'm going to put an end to it. I'm going to put an end to the whole curse that Soseki-san has been suffering from. I know I don't have much to offer, but I'll assist you with all my strength. Sato-san. I have an itch! I can't scratch! What? Good morning, Soseki-san. Don't good morning me, substitute exchange student Naruhodō! Look at you two, ignoring the guest of honor and having a harmonious conversation. What's the meaning of this? I mean, you were pretending to be a cat just a second ago. Oh, well... You just seem to be in the midst of some serious meditation, so... I wonder if perhaps we shouldn't disturb you. Personally? What's wrong, Soseki-sama? You seem different today. What? I understand today better than ever. The literary path is discovered through death. Something like that. I squeeze my eyes shut in anticipation of that conversation. Soseki, please! Oh, sorry about that. I had no idea at all. Besides, I don't think you ought to be dying for the sake of any path. That was only a metaphor! I guess that serious atmosphere led us astray. You didn't spend long visiting me yesterday either! We visit you twice! I was sure you abandoned me and gone home to the great Japanese Empire! It hasn't even been a week since we arrived in London. Anyway, I'm planning to tie up all loose ends in today's trial. Actually, I made my mind up about something today too. Huh? What might that... I was planning to talk to you about it after the trial was over. Alright then. Come to think of it, even after all that, Home-sama still hasn't shown up, has he? Are we even surprised? Maybe he's trying to tell us something like, fight your own fight. Either that or he just overslept again. One of the two. That damn famous detective! He's considered a rival in my book. Who cares if he doesn't show? That's right, I said it! Defendant, defense. Court is about to convene. Proceed to the courtroom at once. That is true, that's all he promised, didn't he? I'm going to face off against the Grim Reaper again today. A defendant has never escaped in a trial that he prosecuted. But I can't let myself buy into that fate or curse. I'll refuse to avert my eyes from the hidden truth until the bitter end. I'll believe in Soseki-san until everything is over. That's it. I've come up with a new recipe. No. Am I... Pentency? Gotta deal with Pentency in this again. Ugh. I am no Shakespearean. It's the same day, 9:40 in the morning, in the Old Bailey Supreme Court.
Now then, in the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I declare court to be in session. The court now asks the prosecution and the defense, are you completely ready to present your cases?
The prosecution is ready. The defense is ready.
And are all of you ready as well? 6 wise jurors selected from the citizens of the Imperial City.
Today is the day that I intend to at last bring home a just verdict.
I am at my cruellest when the angle of my hat looks good.
Oh, I wish you adjust the angle of my hat.
The gas thief's death is inevitable. I can certainly sympathize with you on that.
And now my dog's barking. Hey now, I seriously ain't got time for something like this. Or juror 5.
Oh, Lord. Please lead this lost lamb toward the right verdict.
Well, at least he's not talking about how he can't hear anything.
Now, Lord Von Zeeks, if you be so kind. The court requests that the prosecution presents its finding regarding the possibility involving the victim's tea, which was brought up in yesterday's trial.
Here it comes. First, let me pour this drink, and then I'm going to crush it in my hands. Before I report on the scarlet tea, I'd like to beg your indulgence for first partaking of the scarlet of the Lord's chalice. In regards to the tea, the prosecution would like this detective from the yard to give the report.
Sir, certainly, sir. As the defense indicated, some frozen solid soap was discovered outside the window of the crime scene. And inside a depression in that soap was a small amount of red liquid.
That was the tea Soseki-san prepared that night.
When we analyzed the red liquid, we found that it was indeed tea.
And that there were no traces of poison contained in it, including strychnine.
No traces of poison.
Well, that's good! In other words, we can declare that the defendant's tea was not to blame.
Good Lord.
Just like we thought. This proves it. The defendant, Natsumi Soseki-san, has... Jumping to conclusions is one of the many bad habits of the Japanese. It's not just the Japanese. Stop that, Baroque.
What?
It's true that no poison was discovered in the few drops of soap left there. However, that's like testing a drop of water from the River Thames and concluding that the waters of the ocean contain no salt.
That's deep. But seawater is incredibly salty.
Precisely. The tea the victim drank that night was also incredibly salty. The prosecution proposes that the court hear testimony from an individual who knows that fact. Summon the victim, William Potensi, to the stand once more. Oh, great.
The court accepts the prosecution's proposal.
William Potensi-sama. Looks like we'll have to confront him one more time.
Now then, escort William Potensi into the courtroom.
And while that's happening, I'm gonna go move my dogs so they don't start barking. William Potensi, you're the victim of this case.
Oh heaven, oh hell, would you have me remember?
Yes, I, Potensi.
I did indeed get a stomach full of the bitterly poisoned tea scent. And in the trial yesterday, this man's other identity was revealed.
That of a thief who used his soap to steal gas.
People smile.
But wait, people can smile and murder while they smile. Yes, I, Potensi, do indeed have a room full of the sinful scent of sweet gas. That's right. This man is a dirty, thieving bastard. He sure is. Arrest that ice coin trick sooner.
Arrest him! Arrest him at once! I'll toss him in a room filled with gas fumes.
Oh, I admit that I'm a scoundrel who uses a cowardly trick to benefit myself. That's not something that can simply be forgiven. I'm keenly aware of this. In that case, why are you here again? Cowards die many times before their death. It's only natural that my cowardly self should die now that my crime has been revealed. However, the one who slipped me that poison was that despicable mustached Japanese man. Oops, I missed the line. Even so, that doesn't mean I can overlook an even greater evil. And the one who slipped me that poison was that mustache man. And what is he doing? What is he doing? But there was no poison in the tea that was left in your room. This man is about to clear up that contradiction with his testimony. Isn't that right, witness? Yes, yes, your lordship. I shall do just that, as you wish. Please? Is he riding a horse? I don't... Man, I can't keep up with him.
Very well. The court requests your testimony. Testify about the contradiction between the lack of poison found in your tea and the fact that you were poisoned.
Contradiction in the tea. The Japanese man brewed the red tea in his kettle and visited my room that night. Then, he secretly slipped poison only into my cup. On top of that, he pretended to be so absorbed in the debate that he didn't drink a single gulp of his own tea. I want to see that. I would pay someone to do that. Then he left, and I used the leftover tea in his cup to make my coins. That's why they couldn't have found any poison in the tea left behind in the soap. The poison was slipped into the victim's teacup after the tea was poured into. If you put yourself in the criminal's shoes, it's only natural he would have done it that way.
It wouldn't end well for him if he forgot the poison was in the kettle and refilled his own cup after all.
But there's no storage vessel found at the crime scene that could have contained the poison. Naturally, the Japanese man brought it back to his own room with him. Yep, the vessel only becomes an issue if this were a suicide. Ugh, I guess he's right. In other words, this makes it all quite clear. The cheap soap cannot possibly wash away the pitch-black suspicion surrounding the defendant. You know, I notice he hasn't taken off his cape yet for this particular part. I may be a dirty gas thief, but however, everyone. What? I have nothing to lose, and therefore no reason to lie. Well, that's true.
Now then, defense, conduct your cross-examination.
Yes, Your Honor. Boy, I can't wait to see this guy break down. Japanese man brewed red tea and visited my room that night. I heard you and Soseki-san weren't acquainted before this, is that correct? I know thee not, O man. Fall to thy prayers. I knew him not, and he knew me not. Our only bond was ill fortune. I'm sorry, I have no idea what you're saying right now. Oh dear. Before studying the law, I recommend you finish learning English. I thought I'd done pretty well with my studies. In any case, I must admit that the tea was exquisite. Except for the drop of poison inside, like the lovely rose has its thorns. And that is the extent of it. The Tensei-sama seems to be doing better today than yesterday. Either that, or I'm doing just worse. One of the two. That fateful night, after enjoying a small dinner at a tumble-down restaurant in my neighborhood, not a single thing passed through my throat but that reddish tea. However, the poison was lurking there from the start. He pretended to be absorbed in the debate. He didn't drink a single gulp of his tea. Okay, we're looking at teacups. Cool. Let's look at these teacups then. Oh my god, I can't. We're looking for tea stains apparently, but I'm having a hard time seeing right now. Oh, I'm making sure I picked the right cup here, so hold on. That says Potensi, okay. This is the cup Potensi-san used. There's a reddish line left on the inside. It's a tea stain. I believe the same thing happens with green tea. Oh, really? I've never seen one. Oh my, is that so? It's a rule that when someone gives you tea, you're supposed to drink it right away. Drink your tea while it's hot. Every Japanese person knows that. Apparently, some incorrect facts about Japanese culture have spread to the imperial capital. Alright, so then the other cup is Soseki's. This is the cup Soseki-sama used. The inside is clean, unlike the other cups. I suppose he must have drained his cup in one gulp before a tea stain could form. That's what I always do. Huh? Well, if you sip it a little at a time, it gets cold. I'll teach you about tea ceremonies next time we're back at our room. Teacups. 2 teacups. The cups Potensi-san and Soseki-san use. There's no tea stain in Soseki-san's cup. Alright, mister, let's present these teacups. You say that Soseki-san didn't drink a drop of tea that night. But that's impossible. Oh my, what are you talking about, you black-clad oriental devil? Wow, rude. These are the teacups that the victim and defendant drank on the night of the crime. Teacups that didn't drink. Oh, okay. Got it. I got it. There's a definitive difference between those 2 teacups.
Definitive?
Difference. Look at the insides of the teacups. You'll notice that there's a ring here. This is a tea ring.
It's a stain that forms when tea is poured in and allowed to sit for a while.
However, there's no such ring in Soseki-san's cup.
Oh, you're right. It's completely clean.
But what's your point? I love that harp sound that he gets. Yesterday, as Soseki-san also testified, in Japan, we have the following saying? Oh, yes. Drink your tea while it's hot! In other words, yes, impatient Soseki-san gulped down his tea in one gulp again that night too. Oh, we're getting new animations here. Which means, Potensi-san, you're obviously lying. Did I miss a line? I think I missed a line. I missed a line somewhere. Hold on. Wow, I'm missing all my lines tonight. Maybe it's because my translator is actually watching too. No pressure! I think I missed a line. I never employed more than 7 Lord's Chalices in a single trial. That's quite a few. Good thing I'm doing this stream and before I actually do the LP so I can read this later. However, I can't claim that the bottle has never run out when I wasn't paying attention. Why are you telling me this? People's memories are vague things. That's the point I was trying to make. William Potensi. Yes, my lord. You stated that you used the defendant's tea to make your ice coins that night, but are you certain you weren't simply mistaken? For example, take the little teapot that was left at the crime scene. There was no tea left inside. Was there no tea left inside it? Impressive, your lordship. Oh, truly insightful. It's almost as if you've been watching me that night. What? That's right. I was completely mistaken. I intended to use the Japanese man's tea, but when I peered to his cup, I found it empty. So I had no choice but to use the plentiful amount of tea that remained in the teapot. Oh, come on. You can't decide now that you've made a mistake. That's incredibly fishy. The human memory isn't perfect. That's why we must discuss things using evidence. Besides, it's not a significant problem to begin with. There are 2 points in the testimony that the victim just gave. One is that it was the victim's teacup that had poison in it, and the other is that the ice coins were made with tea from another source, and that is all.
You're quite right.
And that part of the testimony is still valid. In other words... Oh, there goes the cave. The contradiction the defense has insisted upon does not exist. But... So then what does that all mean?
Does this really mean there's nothing wrong with that gas thief's testimony?
Well, I think the fact that he's a gas thief is in and of itself something wrong. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, Bob Potensi swears before you. After my evening meal that night at 5 p.m. at the tumble-down restaurant in my neighborhood, not a single thing passed my lips besides that Japanese man's tea.
Incidentally, what did you have for dinner?
I indulged in 2 of my favorites, a soup-like substance and a salad-like substance. Okay. What a curious menu. You gods will give us some faults to us men. For my status as a dirty gas thief, I will take whatever punishment you can throw at me. However, there's just one thing I'd like to say to you clever ladies and gentlemen. That's that, and this is this. Oh my god. I beg you, jurors, pass a suitable judgment on that Japanese man. Your Honor! If I may.
What is it, head juror?
We may have been fooled by that defense attorney.
By me? You could be right.
We know that the skinny guy there was cheating on his gas bill with ice coins. Isn't it only natural that a gas thief would get slipped a little poison once in a while? That's line of bull that defense attorney nearly had me buying. I never said that. However, the words the victim just uttered have awoken me at last. This time, we reached an unshakable conclusion.
The jurors have just called for a verdict. The court must hear it.
It can't be. Please, wait.
Now then, jurors, state your verdicts.
有罪
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 有罪。
有罪有罪
That was quick.
It appears that the jurors' votes are unanimous.
I'm sorry, I got distracted by his motions again. I'm so grateful and pleased. This is bad. Your Honor, the defense would like to exercise its right to a final appeal.
Very well. The court acknowledges the defense is right.
Honestly, a verdict has been reached. How do you fail to understand that?
In that case, we will now hear the second final appeal. Now then, jurors, hear the court's request. State your reasons and basis for deciding that the defendant is guilty.
Judicial findings, the jurors' assertions. I'm an incredibly rational man. I determined his guilt by considering all the evidence. I agree. Gas is too expensive. I understand why someone would want to steal it. It explodes and poisons people. Gas is incredibly dangerous stuff.
Gas doesn't grow on trees. It costs money to deliver it around town and to keep it safe.
I've decided I need to be more careful with the tea me mom makes for sure.
If the victim didn't consume anything else that night, then that settles it. It appears that the point in question has been somewhat derailed by the gas issue.
Sure did.
But I suppose that's alright.
Are you sure that it's alright? It's true. Our case is exactly airtight. And Potensi-sama really did collapse due to poisoning. Then how on earth are we going to overturn this verdict? If I'm not mistaken, I believe you'll simply have to find how else Potensi-sama could have been poisoned. And prove it. But that'll be impossible in this situation. However, if you can't do that, then Soseki-sama he'll be declared guilty.
Now then, the defense will begin its final appeal.
Not so much final when you do it so often in a trial, though. Let's do this. Defense's rebuttal. Guess we're talking to number 4? Gas doesn't grow on trees, damn it.
Matta!
Could you forget the gas just for a moment? Our gas is under general attack right now, you know. You expect me to just sit quietly and take it? Well, I refuse.
Yare.
You've all been running your mouths about how our splendid gas is expensive and explosive and poisonous. What about electricity? That rubbish will give you an electric shock. A little bits. It'll come after you snapping and crackling, you know. What's a little explosion now and then? I prefer we were spared any explosions, but, I agree.
Any kind of theft is difficult to let go.
Incidentally, gas thieves aren't the only thing we're up against. We battle day and night against a far more sinister foe.
A far more sinister foe. What might that be?
Other gas companies, of course.
Other gas companies? I didn't expect that answer.
We manufacture gas and make sure it gets to our customers.
That makes sense. That's what a gas company does, after all.
However, there are some dishonest gas companies here in London that don't even have any gas to sell.
Huh? But if they don't have any gas, then doesn't that mean they have nothing to sell?
That's the thing. Those types steal our gas and sell that.
They steal your gas, but how?
Gas companies use pipes to deliver everyone their gas. But that dishonest lot secretly reconnect those pipes to other ones. And those pipes are connected to houses that have a contract with them. And that's how they manage to steal our valuable gas from us without us knowing. Dishonestly rerouting pipes at their own convenience. What a brazen way of stealing. When we go around collecting fees from our customers, we have to ask them whether they've encountered any of these dishonest gas companies as well.
This is a first. Whoever was my voice actor for juror number 4 in case 4 of DGS1 is probably gonna have a lot of fun with this.
Shut up!
Or juror 3, excuse me. Is everything alright, juror 3? Me? Sorry, I had something on my mind. Looks like I caught him off guard. Talk about an immediate effect. Did something occur to you while you were listening to Juror 4? Yes. Well, I just couldn't help feeling a little annoyed. Annoyed? An investigator from the Ultimate Gas Company came round to my place the other night. He said something like, "We'd like your secret assistance in your investigation regarding dishonest gas usage." So I let the chap in, but what do you think he did? I can't even begin to guess. What did he do? He removed the gas lamp from the wall and then put his mouth right on the pipe. And blew into it like, phew. Phew.
Who did you? Don't go blabbing our trade secrets to everyone in the room.
Everyone already knows about this. Anyway, thanks to him, things went to hell in a basket. In a head basket. How do you mean?
Allow me to explain. As I stated earlier, our reputed gas companies have been reconnecting their pipes to ours.
What does that have to do with blowing into the pipes?
There's gas flowing through those pipes. There's not much pressure in those pipes. If you blow into the pipes, the gas pressure rises temporarily. When that happens, the flames in every lamp that's connected to that pipe waver. Oh, I see. So in other words, for example, if the flames of the gas lamp in the house next door, which doesn't have a contract with your company, waver when you blow into that pipe, then you know for sure that they're using your gas dishonestly. Is that right? Right. It's just as you say. Therefore, we've been sending our investigators to perform confirmations using the wavering of the gas lamp flames.
Incidentally, the investigator who came to my place was a bloody show-off. He blew into the pipe as hard as he could. What do you think happened next? So then... Wait. No way. That's right. All the flames in the lamps and stoves throughout the house went out, and we had a major gas leak. Oh. Oh! Oh god. Go god indeed.
If you blow into the pipe too hard, the gas flow will be temporarily disrupted.
Before I knew what I was doing, I started screaming at him. "You're trying to kill us all," I shouted. So if you remove the lamp, put your mouth on it, and blow really hard, Why is this dialogue really hard? I'm trying not to laugh. All the lamps and stoves in the house will be extinguished. Then once the flow resumes, the gas fumes will start silently, filling the room. Naruhodō-sama, this might be... Yes, this could be the clue we've been looking for. Juror 3, would you mind adding what you were just telling us to your statement? Sure, I don't mind.
Well, I certainly do. After all, our company's investigation methods are...
Like I said, you might be surprised how well known this is.
In that case, Juror 3, please update your assertion.
Sure. I don't know what good it'll do, though. If you put your mouth on the gas pipe and blow into it hard, all the flames in the house will go out and plunge you into a gas fume hell. Okay. We hitting it with juror number 6? Yes? Yes. There's an obvious contradiction between these two claims.
Did you say a contradiction? With those statements?
Juror 6, did you hear the claim Juror 3 just made?
Oh, yes, I certainly did. He definitely mumbled something over there.
Another possibility. This might just be one such possibility. The other thing the victim put in his mouth besides Soseki-san's tea.
What? A possibility?
Out of curiosity, did the police investigate the openings of the gas pipes at the crime scene to see whether there were any traces of poison there? I wonder what sort of desperate rubbish you'd spew next. Gas pipe openings. There's no need for the yard to do something so pointless.
Hold it! What a piece of work is a man.
Is there something you'd like to say, Potensi-san?
What is this nonsense? This is what I must ask thee.
Calm down, Potensi. I think I was being pretty clear, but alright then, I'll rephrase it. There was strychnine painted on the openings of the gas pipes connected to the lamps in your room. It's possible that that's how the poison entered your system.
What?
You're saying that gas pipe tastes good when you lick them?
That he was so hungry that he tried to fill his stomach with gas? Perhaps he simply needed something to practice a kissing scene with.
No, I'm not such a fool that I exchange kisses with a gas pipe! The likes of this can't even be considered a final appeal, Japanese boy. The court cannot allow you to go spewing whatever baseless theories pop into your mind. Hey man, the jurors started. For starters, the lamps are fixed to the wall at a considerable height. It would take quite a feat to reach one's mouth up there. Proving that that wash-up actor did such a thing is quite impossible. You're right. I don't have any proof that he kissed the gas pipe. However, so far, the fact that Potensi-san has repeatedly stood right in front of the gas lamp in his room and done something can be proven. And I have the evidence to do so. Fascinating. How can you be so sure? Yes, he's right. We'll need to see that evidence. Yes, the jurors are generally willing to listen. Genuinely. All I have to do now is press forward. The victim has stood before those lamps countless times, and this is the evidence that proves it. That one picture. That it? That it? Yeah, that's it. What's this? As I recall. Alright, these are the finger traces left at the crime scene.
Finger traces? I've never heard of such a thing. You mean fingerprints? They are currently being accepted as evidence.
It's the personal scientific investigation method of the great detective Sherlock Holmes. And it's what caused the traces left behind after Potensi-sama touched something to appear like this. That's insane! Sounds like witchcraft to me. However, the famous detective might just be capable of such a thing.
Indeed, the engineer's thumbprint in this month's edition was quite a fascinating read.
There were traces on the desk and stage costumes, places that would be touched during the course of a normal day. But Potensi-san also touched some rather unexpected things. Here, for example.
Around the painting, he does indeed seem to have touched it many times.
Maybe he just wanted a good close look at it. That's what we thought too at first, but if one were to stand in front of the wall and put both their hands here, there would be a certain something right in front of them. Right in front of... Oh!
It's a gas pipe.
His reason for doing so isn't clear, but Potensi-san put his hand on the wall countless times and stood right in front of his gas lamps. Boy, you! Why would you do such a thing? Beginning to understand why Potensi is so freaking loopy. If you could all please recall Juror 4's claim.
Fine.
If you put your mouth on a gas pipe and blow into it, all the flames in every gas lamp in the house will waver. And Juror 3 previously said this. Me? Me now. The investigator who came to my place was a bloody show-off. He blew into the pipe as hard as he could. All the flames in the lamps and stoves throughout the house went out, and we had a major gas leak. That time it was an accident, but what can we say for sure is that if one were to blow hard into here, one could stop all the gas in the boarding house at their whim. Oh!
So then, it can't be. He purposely caused the gas to...
The prosecution should not speak up during the final appeal. However, I cannot just sit idly by and watch the defense trample the law.
What do you mean, Lord Von Zieks?
Regarding those incredibly suspect finger traces you presented earlier, I scarcely need to say this, but they can't be considered evidence of any real consequences.
Oh, but it's a scientific investigative method developed by a famous detective, so...
It's something made up by an amateur who calls himself a famous detective. It's nothing more than a toy.
That's true. It may be part of some research conducted by Mr. Holmes, but this can't be accepted as evidence.
But...
One moment, please, Your Honor.
Susato-san.
The defense does not intend to present this to the court as evidence. At the very most, it's the result of the great detective's personal investigation, which we have shown the jurors to provide them food for thought.
Nice!
If we were to end this trial here and now, we may never know the truth behind these mysterious handprints. Are you sure you're alright with that, jurors?
Nice!
Hold it!
Yes, you're right. We're the ones in charge of deciding whether this clue has any value. Juror 3.
I'm curious about the results of the famous detective's investigation, too. I'd like to hear what that suspicious man there has to say about those suspicious handprints.
Ugh, how hasty.
I agree. A promise is a promise.
I'm assuming Juror 1 says, now hold on just a minute, because I don't actually have the lines for that. And it went really fast, too.
We did it, Naruhodō-sama. If we can just persuade one more juror to change their vote, we'll be able to continue Soseki-sama's trial.
Thank you so much. This is all thanks to you. Oh no, you're the one who found the clue, Naruhodō-sama. You're sweating now, aren't you? Tensei-san doesn't look so confident all of a sudden.
We just need one more. Let's do this, Naruhodō-sama. Now then, you may continue your final appeal.
I'm a rational gentleman. I determine his guilt by considering all the evidence. Are you? All the evidence? That's right, and without a shadow of a doubt, it's pointing right at that mustached Japanese man. There's the mustached Englishman, as he points right at me. Pulling up the armband that doesn't exist is hilarious. But just now, the final appeal indicated a new possibility. Do you have any thoughts regarding that possibility? Ah, you must mean those, finger traces, was it?
It's a masterpiece that the great detective Holmes-sama poured all his considerable skill into creating.
That was a mouthful. There's some fishy-looking handprints from both hands on the wall on either side of the gas lamp. If the Tensei-san had put his mouth on the gas pipe that night, it's possible that some poison had been painted onto the pipe. Well, I suppose that's true. I can't pretend I'm not curious. However, as the prosecutor said, illegal evidence should be paid no mind. Besides what? Let's say for the sake of argument that the man really had stood before the gas pipe numerous times before. We don't know for sure whether he puts his mouth on the opening of the pipe on the night of the crime and blew into it. Huh? As long as we can't be sure about that, it's only logical to assume that there's no connection.
Now that you mention it, I suppose you're right.
Uh-oh. Eh?
True. Maybe I was a little hasty.
What? No, please, hold on! Now that we've brought it up anyway, why don't you clear this up for us? Can you Japanese prove it? Making this a racial thing? This has been a racial thing for, like, ever.
However, if we admit now that we can't do it, the jurors who changed their votes for us may rethink that decision.
I wonder, can I prove it? Can I prove it whether Tensei-san put his mouth on the gas pipe opening on the night of the crime? I can't prove it. I can prove it with evidence or prove it with a profile. Prove it with a profile. I admit that I don't have the evidence to prove it, but there is someone related to the case who'd be able to testify about it. What? Someone related to the case? Who on earth is that amazing hero? It looks like everything's coming together. The person who can testify about the gas in the boarding house that contained the crime scene is Natsume Soseki. That would be the defendant himself, of course, Mr. Natsume Soseki. The defendant? During yesterday's trial, Soseki-san first made the following claim. There's been a string of baffling incidents at our boarding house. It happened again on the night of the murder. I just returned from Mr. Potensei's room. I turned my gas stove way up and curled up in bed. Then a little while later, I noticed that at some point the flame on my gas stove went out, and unbeknownst to anyone, I began to die. On the night of the crime, the gas supply to the defendant's room was interrupted. Could this really have been a coincidence? But don't tell me. That bloke Potensei blew into the gas pipe and stopped the gas on purpose. Hold on a moment. Why on earth would he do that? Juror 1. What is it? As long as doubt remains, a verdict shouldn't be handed down. I may not have proof yet, but there are still facts in this case that we haven't uncovered. Something tells me we're gonna use the evidence about Selden and his mystery treasure? His treasure? Something like that. That's what I'm thinking, cause like the that one criminal that used to live in that Gerardov's place was on the second floor, so, and Potensi wanted to move into the second floor, so I guess he would try to kill him. Very well. As I said in the beginning, I am an incredibly rational man. Or gentleman. Thanks, Juror 1. That makes 4 not guilty votes. That means the verdict has been overturned. The defense demands that the trial continue.
As the defense claims, the final appeal that was just conducted has resulted in a modification to the jurors' votes. 2 for guilty and 4 for not guilty. Therefore, as the court has not reached a unanimous decision at this time, the trial shall continue. Witness, William Potensi.
Yes, Your Honor. Potensi at your service.
The court would like to hear what you have to say in regards to the final appeal that was just made.
I pledge before heaven, and I pledge to the earth. All this talk of lamps and gas pipes, I have no memory of any of it, and am thus deeply confused. But look, your handprints are plastered all over that wall. And there goes the wine bottle. In one case. I appreciate it if you didn't insult the dignity of the court any further, Imperial citizen. What? I believe I stated this before. Toys created by self-proclaimed detectives do not constitute proof. Oh. Where this man stood in front of his lamp with his hands on the wall cannot be proven at this point. You do well to get that through your heads. Oh. But it would be incredibly simple to prove it. Please, you have to perform a test on the opening to the gas pipe in Potensi-san's room. If there are traces of poison there. Apparently, your incredible head has already forgotten. Incredibly thick head? A measure of the tea left at the crime scene was necessary to test for poison. Even if there were poison painted onto the opening of the gas pipe, it would be completely dry by now, which would make it impossible to test for any poison. Ah, I forgot about that.
Besides, I'm having a hard time thinking up a reason why this man would blow into a gas pipe to begin with.
Get to the second floor, damn it. There's just one possibility that I can come up with. That he sought to take someone's life using the gas fumes.
Order! Order! Defense! Just who was this man plotting to kill?
I hardly even need to think about it. Considering what I know, it's very simple. The person Potensi-san intended to murder was... Poor Soseki. Anyone would notice if their gas lamp were to go out as they were watching it. In other words, the one he was plotting to kill only used the gas for his stove. I live in that area too, so I know all too well. If you sleep without any heating, you'll be frozen solid by the next morning. There's a large fireplace in Mr. Gerardov's room. In other words, the person he was aiming for was a fellow lodger.
The fellow lodger?
Naturally. That would mean the defendant, Natsume Soseki-san. Soseki-san wasn't the assailant. He's a would-be murder victim.
What?
The defendant was actually the victim. A fascinating theory. However, either way, the absolute truth hasn't changed. Namely that the defendant was the assailant. Huh? What's that supposed to mean? Let's say for the sake of argument that there had been poison painted on the mouth of the gas pipe as you claim. In which case, who could have put it there? person who painted on the poison. Naturally, that would mean that the person was aware that this man intended to put his murderous plan into action using the gas fumes.
Of course. They would have to have been. That's why they painted the poison onto the gas pipe in the first place.
Now then, how is it that that person found out about his intention to kill?
It can't be.
There's only one conceivable answer, and it's an incredibly simple one. Because his life was the one being targeted. What? In other words, the only one who could have taken countermeasures against Potensi's plan and painted poison on was none other than the defendant, Natsume Soseki. Regardless of what William Potensi was planning, it doesn't change the facts. His men were slipped poison by some individual and began to lose his life. And the only one who could possibly have done it was the defendant, Natsume Soseki. The suspicion surrounding the defendant has not lifted. Far from it. In fact, we've established a concrete motive for him to have poisoned this man. This has only deepened the suspicion. That is the prosecution's opinion. What say you, Japanese boy? Oh, why? Of course. Who would have thought he had such a major turnabout waiting in the wings? It's supposed to be the turnabout terror here.
Naruhodō-sama, please lift up your head. At this rate, the jurors will all change their minds again. I believe this might really be our final chance.
Our final?
Who could have painted the poison on the gas pipe in Potensi-sama's room? We must reveal their name and drag them out onto the stand.
Wait! No way! So you mean the real culprit?
I know I asked the impossible, but if you're not able to do that, then Soseki-sama's verdict will be set in stone.
Actually, there's just one person I can think of who might have done it. Poison, the evidence. It all indicates a certain person. Now then, jurors, I'd like to ask you to vote one last time. So what say you, jurors? Oh, yes sir, of course, I'd be happy to. Oh man. It makes, oh god, now it all makes sense. Okay. There's one other person it could be. One other candidate for the true culprit.
True culprit?
That's a sort of tawdry word only used in third-rate novels like the ones that famous detective appears in, Japanese boy. Yes, it's all Sherlock's fault. Very well. We've come this far. I suppose entertaining this little farce could prove to be mildly amusing. Thank you very much. Let us hear your thoughts on the matter, Japanese boy. The true culprit in this case. Tell us that person's name. We'll do that after I take a break. I'm taking a